We got a couple of things, Raph, to talk about today. So let's start with the Michael Russo thing, which thankfully I've not talked about at all today, other than saying he did issue an apology this morning.
Have you heard about it?
Yeah. I did hear Jean-François Roberge earlier in the day. He was asked, sort of goaded into saying, are you not insulted by this? So this is 2 days now or later. Are we done with this in Quebec from what you're seeing in French media, or are we not?
No, we're not. And I think we're going to talk about it. My main question in my mind at the moment is when is it going to end? And is it going to end only with Michael Russo's resignation in the end? Because that's what the National Assembly is calling for today. Unanimously, all parties, including the Liberals, who were at first reluctant to interfere with the internal business of a private corporation, finally chose to support the motion in the National Assembly calling for Russo's resignation. Now, I don't think it's going to be over. We're going to be talking about this for quite a long time still.
Really?
Yes, because people are outraged, and with reason. It's a total lack of respect for the victims, for their loved ones, but also, let's not forget, there's 10 million Francophones in this country. They're all potential customers of Air Canada, and it just sends the message to all of them, we don't care about you. We really don't care. And when I see the reactions in the rest of the country, it tells me, at the moment, this whole saga, in my point of view, is fueling support for sovereignty in Quebec. There are Francophones in this province who were not necessarily hardline sovereignists that are probably thinking again today, seeing what happens and the reaction in the rest of the country, and it shows a deep divide in the way we see the importance of the French language. And yes, I see you smiling.
I'm not smiling. I'm kind of frowning here.
National unity is at stake here.
This is not about national unity. This is some guy who didn't speak French, should have known better, and it's turned into, in Quebec, of course, it takes something that small to suddenly dominate the French media. It's turning into a
huge symbol of how the rest of Canada just doesn't care about
But it's not about the rest of Canada not caring. I think the rest of Canada maybe doesn't understand. It doesn't mean they don't care. They don't understand how something like this, and let's be fair here, I think the reaction from the rest of Canada that I'm hearing is, you know what, this takes away from what we should be doing, which is talking about, as you said, the families, the pilots who died. They're not both from Quebec, by the way. There's one from Ontario.
But had Michael Russo and his team had just a little bit of sensitivity in the first place,
agreed.
It's a crisis that they fabricated themselves. Had they thought about it, and I mean, we're not asking for the moon, we're just asking for 2-3 sentences. It was a pre-recorded statement.
I get it.
You could have it translated. Write it in phonetics if you need. But I mean,
Raph, I'm fully on board. I said this exact same thing yesterday. It would not have taken him to do 4 minutes in French. Making the effort, just showing that you understand, absolutely. That's all he needed to do. This was a huge blunder, self-inflicted wound on his part. And what's worse is it's not the first time it happened,
absolutely.
Which makes it even worse.
He didn't learn lessons from his past mistakes from 5 years ago, obviously.
So,
and when Air Canada yesterday said that, he went through 600 hours of lessons and practice to improve his French. I mean, are we that gullible? Do you really think we're that gullible to buy that?
Yeah.
I mean, the guy, you don't even need to know French in order to be able to read 2-3 sentences of French written in phonetics on a pre-recorded statement. We're not asking for him to write a full novel in French. We're not asking for him to give a 3-hour speech in French. We're not asking.
I get it. You're right.
Exactly.
You're 100% right. But
it's
again,
just the bare minimum.
I think this will boil over. I don't think this is a reason to lose our hair and start talking about separation just because of one guy at Air Canada. And I do want to point out one other thing. You're a guy who worked in PR, right? You work in PR.
I do.
The contention now is this wasn't about Air Canada and their corporate communications department. The feeling now seems to be someone, because there's enough smart people working there, right? Someone went to him, or the team went to him and said, Monsieur Rousseau, with all due respect, this is what you should do. And he said, no. I'm going to do this the way I want to do it. So let's not blame everyone at Air Canada, because I don't think that happened. I think they actually did go to him and suggest this. They're smart enough to know that. Blame him. And if it's a blame him, resign, whatever. The board of directors is ultimately going to have to decide, do we get rid of this guy or not? Wait till the House committee that he's going to be at, till that meeting happens, And then after that, I think a decision will be made. And if they do get rid of him, I won't be surprised.
And you know what, Aaron? I don't think they're going to get rid of him. I think as you said, they're going to wait for this whole storm to be over, and hopefully, like what happened 5 years ago,
we'll forget.
People will forget, because you know what? In the end, for most markets, for most airports and urban areas, you have no other choice but to fly with Air Canada. So it won't really affect their business. Outside of Quebec, it's no big deal to the majority of the population in the country. So in the end, I think the board will just wait and see what happens. And if it doesn't change anything to their numbers at the end of the year, well, Michael Rousseau will still be the CEO of Air Canada in a few months from now.
So your money is he's not going to get fired?
I don't think he's going to get fired. I think
or be forced to resign. Call it whatever you want.
Well,
I think he will.
I think the question they should be asking themselves is, do you really want that person to be the face and voice of your company? Is this the values you share as a corporation serving Canadians from coast to coast, both Anglophones and Francophones?
You might have expected more from a guy making $12 million a year.
And you might expect more even from a top executive who's supposed to know the market he works with, and who there's 25% of the whole market he's working with at the moment that speaks French. And to me, it just sends the wrong message to that big share of the population.
I don't disagree. We will see how this plays out. I'm hoping this does not become, and I think this is a story for 2 days, 3 days, whatever. As I said, he will have to testify in front of a Commons committee. We'll see
but it's
how
not
goes.
just about Michael Rousseau. I think it's about the whole symbol of it, the fact that it's a national entity, also a big corporation. But it's also a reminder that we still have a governor general in Ottawa that doesn't speak a word of French, despite, like Rousseau, promising that she would be learning. Yeah. So to me, it's also
Maybe
a message that in the rest of Canada, sometimes French is considered like a second-class language. And to many Quebecers right now, it's sending the message that maybe they're not really at home in this country.
I don't get that at all. That's not what I think. I'm not surprised you think that way. I mean,
I'm not really thinking that way. I'm just saying to a lot of people. But yes, as a Francophone and as a nationalist, it makes me think
you're second class?
Well, sometimes
just
I do.
Because the guy to Canada didn't speak French?
Let's consider the reverse scenario here. Let's say you have a fully unilingual Francophone at the head of Air Canada, and he does a statement only in English, whereas you have two pilots from Alberta that died in an accident. Yeah. What would be the reaction in the rest of the country?
I don't think they'd lose their minds. I don't think they'd be calling for the chairman to resign by virtue of that. First of all, it wouldn't happen, but even if it did, I think the outrage, the level of outrage in Quebec for something like this is off the charts compared to the rest of Canada.
Because
in Canada, if this was done in French and you're saying, how would Anglos react? You know what we do? In Quebec, as Anglos, we'd shake our head and go, you know what? This is exactly what we would have expected. That's the difference.
Yes, but because we have a cultural and historical background that is different from the rest of the country, it's indeed a more sensitive issue in this province particularly. And because of that, I would invite the rest of the country to be a bit more respectful, to acknowledge that reality and to be a bit more respectful. I always say, when we understand each other, we better live together. So let's try and do that a bit. We have 1/4 of the population in this country, not just in Quebec. There's still 1 million people speaking French in the rest of the country. Let's have a little respect for these people, please.
Okay, I think we do, but I take your point. Let me get on to something else before we run out of time. Story today, the mayor's going to join me in about 15 minutes to talk about the situation this morning, which got her to actually cry. 2 people living with homelessness, seniors, end up dying. They were not on the street. They were in a shelter of some kind. You take umbrage. What's your issue with this? Because I saw your note. You're suggesting something's not kosher here?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I want to say this is the kind of reaction that we should have seen from Michael Rousseau. Because she showed, today she showed compassion.
You wanted Michael Rousseau to cry? Is that what you wanted?
Well, not necessarily, but she showed compassion and she showed humanity, whereas Michael Rousseau did not do what he had to do in those circumstances. But to me, it's just, she was reacting to this news. And from what we know so far, these 2 people were not abandoned by the system. They died in shelters of probably natural causes.
But we don't know that.
They had known health issues. Okay. They were of old age.
Do we know that for sure, that they had known health issues?
Yes, we know that for sure. And they were known to community groups. So to me, it feels a bit too early to jump to conclusions that if we had more money from the provincial government, which is what she's asking for, she says, if we had more means, we could help.
Federally too.
But still, it's a bit too early to jump to conclusions to say we would have saved those people had we had more means.
You think she's leveraging the death of these two people as a political tool to get money?
It feels to me a bit, yes, like something we could call political recuperation of the death of two people who died in a shelter. It's not as if they died frozen in the snow in the middle of the month of January. They died in shelters. They were taken care of by community groups. It's a sad thing, and don't get me wrong here. I'm not happy about it, of course. But still, to take the opportunity to make it a political thing and say we should get more money from other levels of government to take better care of homeless people because two of them died recently. To me, the link is hard to really do. To tie it together. Are
you suggesting in a sense it's performative or was performative?
I don't think it was performative. I think she was sincere, obviously. I'm just saying that we should be careful not to use two deaths of homeless people, which is, of course, something that we don't want to happen, and then link it to the fact that we need more money from other levels of government. Because it's not, it doesn't mean...
That's not news, though. We keep saying we need more money. It
doesn't mean that because we would have had more money from other levels of government that these people would have survived.
Okay.
I'm just saying, just be careful. But then again, her reaction was very human, very compassionate. And at least we have someone at City Hall right now that does seem to care. I mean, let's give it to her as well. In the last budget, they tripled the amount of money that they give to community groups. So at the city level, they take their responsibilities right now to do more to help the homeless. I agree that we should do more at other levels of government, but to use the death of two people, which is a tragic story, and try to make some political mileage with that, to me, it leaves a bad aftertaste.
So what you're saying is Soraya Martinez-Frada is everything that Michael Russo is not.
Maybe Michael Russo should take notes and see what Madame Martinez did.
Raphaël Melançon, Raph, thank you.
Unmistakably Canadian.
It's the music that raised you.
The artists raising the bar.
Hi, this is Brian Adams.
Hey, my name's Brett Emmons. I'm from the Glorious Sons.
Hi, I'm Nelly Furtado.
Made in Canada. The station that champions Canadian music.
Loud, proud, and all yours.
No passports required. Just press play.
Tap into Made in Canada now on iHeartRadio.ca
or the free iHeartRadio app.